Welcome back to the pod. Hopefully this week you can actually see us and the intro doesn't sound dumb as fuck as last week. But
I'm all blurry.
wow.
What the fuck?
See, I was gonna say, do I have my glasses on? Am I blind? I felt like I'm blind because I watched the Colts play good football last week. So
Are you sure? Oh, damn it.
Yep.
A struggle.
This is a struggle, huh? Struggle of a week so far.
You know. Maybe?
Maybe? Yeah? Ah. Huh?
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 Hey.
Welcome back to DM Sports Talk. I am one of your co-hosts, David, along with my friend and pal and co-host Matt. Back with another week of NFL action, talking about the fun games that was last week, previewing what's coming up this week, and bitching about our fantasy team and how all of our bets didn't hit. This is your weekly show where we do all of that.
Yeah, that's a really rough betting week.
Yeah, yep.
I'm not betting this weekend. I'm not. I can't.
So here's my issue. The NBA starts tonight, which is where my bets are going to start going, and I feel more confident with them, but now when those don't hit, I really am just depressed.
See, the problem is like DraftKings had a boost that was like... Are
you talking about the Justin Herbert one?
No.
No? Because that one pissed me off. So...
If I seem off, it's Miranda texting me about the baby. No, DraftKings had a boost for the NBA. It was like Bron, Steph Curry, and Embiid to score 20 plus,
tonight?
like each to score 20 plus. Yeah,
right.
And I went to put it in my. It is boosted to plus 100.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to put it in my bet slip, and it just would not. It just would not let me put it in the bet slip. Because I was going to put on, it's a pretty good bet that they're all going to score 20 points.
Yeah, there's a pretty good chance, yeah.
I mean, it's worth wasting the last $6 that I have in my DraftKings.
Right, it hopes to double it.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, but...
yeah, I put 5 on the boosted odds of Justin Herbert to throw one passing touchdown. I was like, oh! Finally, one that I can, confidently put money on. And I almost put 10 on it, but I was like, I want to save some money back because the NBA is starting, and obviously you get a lot more of those games going on during the week. So I was like, let me save a little bit back, but here, let me double, let me double $5 here. It'll have a little extra money, maybe I can put, some decent money on some games this week. And then, they won, which I guess they're happy at least, but
yeah,
man.
Come on, don't start this shit.
Dustin Hopkins was looking like Jordan in the flu game out there, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So. Speaking of a little NBA analogy
again,
there. Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
But knowing our luck, the video's just going to be corrupted anyway. So, it's an audio pod first and foremost at this point. So, speaking of that, though, then I guess you want to go ahead and get into last week's games?
Yeah.
All right. So we had a Thursday night event on Amazon Prime between the Commanders and the Bears. And the Bears still managed to lose the game. So
that
was
play
impressive.
Was awesome.
That
was awesome.
Honestly, though, when you look at that game and you look at the last play and all the almost heroics of it, and then he still catches it, but then he's short. The last play was honestly pretty fantastic, if you ask me. I very much enjoyed watching only 2 minutes of that game because I only watched the last 2 minutes. But
right,
I assume that you watched probably a little bit more than that. But
I watched most of it. Actually, I watched all of it.
Yeah.
Mainly, so my dad was there.
Yeah,
he's a Packer fan. Yeah, he's a Packers fan.
Yeah.
He was at the game. So he was texting me, so I felt like I had to watch it in order to know what he was talking about.
Right.
So I watched all of it. I hated every minute of it. It was boring as hell.
Yeah, fair.
But
fair.
I mean, Do we expect anything out of primetime NFL games anymore? Like, at this point, they're all just not good.
Sunday nights, honestly, here's the sad thing though too is like if you almost like rank Sunday night, Monday night, and Thursday night football, Thursday night football is always just
the worst.
Yeah, always honestly, always. I feel like most of the time, except for week one. Week one is the only week that Thursday night football is almost guaranteed to be good.
Right.
And that's because people are so desperate to see regular season football back. You know, that like I feel like you most likely get at least a good game out of there, and they normally obviously load that week for that game. Right. But did you see actually though that Amazon Prime is going to do a Black Friday game at 3 Eastern on the like the 24th or something like that?
I knew something about it, but I don't know who it is.
I don't know if they said, but a little Black Friday NFL action.
I'm here for it. I don't go shopping anyway.
I get trapped inside of a retail store, but that's about what I do.
Yeah, I will be off. I'm off that entire week.
Congratulations.
And that's the week. That's the week. Yeah. That's the week that Warzone 2 comes out. So Kyler Murray and I are going to be playing some Warzone 2.
They're going to be like, hey, Kyler, we're going to need you to play Black Friday that week. And he's going to fake an injury at the start of that week.
Oh, 100%.
But yeah, not much to say about Thursday Night Football there at the Commanders and the Bears. That was really it. Then we go into Sunday's games here. Start off with one of the upsets of the week. The Falcons beating the 49ers 28-14. I didn't see that one coming. I didn't see much from the game or how it happened.
I know that the Falcons only threw threw the ball 14 times. It was the rest of it was just running the ball. Mariota scrambling a lot. But from what I saw, at least, I mean, Austin wouldn't stop texting me about it. Which, I mean, it's cool, whatever. But
yeah, man, I'm not surprised, but you know,
but I also there's a part of me Debo's not the same. It doesn't feel like Debo. No, I don't think that they're. I don't know if it's because defenses are preparing to defend him, and maybe that's why. But I don't feel like he's the same player as he was last year. He's not as explosive. And he's not getting the ball nearly as much. And then, Kittle had 8 receptions for some, 83 yards.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like he at least had somewhat of a bounce back week coming back from injury. It definitely was his best week of the season.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I honestly, I don't think too much about this game, as far as the Niners and the rest of their season. I mean, it's
The crazy thing about this is 6 weeks into the year, the Falcons are tied with the Buccaneers for first place in the division. The tiebreaker is held by Tampa since Tampa beat Atlanta.
Right.
But no one expected Atlanta to be where they are right now. Mm-hmm. So kudos to them.
Yeah. Fair enough. We go to the other game here that I predicted wrong. And I don't feel bad about it, but the Colts come away with a 34-27 win over the Jacksonville Jaguars, in a very pass-heavy game.
Yeah, didn't Matt Ryan throw it 51 times or something? Or Trevor Lawrence? Yeah,
he threw it 58 times, completed 42, which is a franchise record.
That's dumb.
Yeah, which tells you how evenly spread out that those teams were for the Colts in the early 2000s with Peyton Manning. You know that Peyton Manning never had to worry about completing 42 passes.
Yeah.
But,
Edgerrin James, bro.
Yeah. I mean, even Joseph Adai. Yeah, I mean, the Colts always had a pretty strong running game. This one, though, ironically, was without their top 2 running backs. But Deion Jackson held his own. Played a really well game from a receiving standpoint. I mean, Michael Pittman had himself a day, which was nice to see. But honestly, I don't think too much about it. They play Tennessee next week, and I feel after a couple weeks ago, when they finally got that win over Kansas City, and there was going into Tennessee, and there was that little bit of buzz about the Colts. I'm at the point now where it's like I still need them to prove it to me. I need them to put it together because that Denver, it was a win, and a win is a win. But it was an ugly win, right? This one, obviously, the offense played a lot better. The defense could have played a little bit better. But honestly, I mean, kudos to Jacksonville. I mean, they were definitely still doing their thing. I mean, they did a nice job of switching up the offense enough that it seemed like the Colts couldn't really dial in on one thing or the other.
Yeah, I didn't watch it. Yeah. Any of it, honestly. I didn't watch any of it.
Fair enough. I mean, the Vikings played at the same time, so.
I saw the last play.
Yeah.
And I was thankful that I saw the last play because that touchdown by Alec Pierce ended up being right in front of Pat McAfee's suite.
It always does, huh? At home games, and the Colts get a win. It's always right in front of that man.
Boston, it's like you can see like Boston Connor and Pat wasn't there. They left early. But like you can see like Boston Connor and Ty and all those guys like poking their head in the TV screen so that they could be seen. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yeah, I saw Evan and Foxy on Twitter tweeted out a video from it from the box. But, I mean, overall, I kind of figured the Colts would win this one. I didn't think that the Jags would sweep them. Right. And it wasn't in Jacksonville, which is obviously the Colts' kryptonite anyways. So.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, but.
Yeah, I think the good thing about the good thing for Jacksonville is they got Travis Etienne going. That man was he was running all over you. Yeah. I don't really have a whole lot to talk about on this one, just because one, I didn't really watch it, but like it just seemed like it's crazy to think, and I don't think it's sustainable that the Colts will rely on Matt Ryan to throw 60 times a game.
No.
And be able to win on the last play. Like, I just don't know that kind of winning, especially when they're giving up all the points that they're giving up.
Right.
I don't think that's going to be sustainable. So the defense has to get better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty much, that's pretty much where I'm at with it. It's more or less of, because even when you look at this game and you don't even look at records, you just look at Colts versus Jags. People expected, you pretty much expect the Colts to beat the Jaguars, and that's why it's not really getting talked about, and it shouldn't be until they can really put together, a couple more weeks of strong football.
Yeah, I think the Colts have to figure out, and they need to figure out quickly how to put together 4 quarters, 1 full game of consistent, good, clean, productive football, and they haven't done that, and neither have the Vikings. So I mean, the only difference is the Vikings are winning these ugly ass games.
Yeah, which it was nice to see that the Colts finally came away with 2 ugly ass wins. So but like you said, you got to get those. So I think next week is a big prove it week. I think next week's a make or break for the season. But we'll see when we get there. Next one here, we had the Patriots zap right over the Browns there, 38-15. I don't know what the fuck happened here, except Bailey Zappi might be the greatest 6th-round quarterback I've ever drafted. So,
second best, because Tom Brady was a 6th-rounder, and give
Bailey his year, baby.
I said it's that when he came. I personally think that the Patriots should just go with Zappi over Mac Jones.
Yeah, I mean, at this point,
he makes all the throws. He doesn't make mistakes. He's composed. He's solid in the pocket. I just there's nothing about this kid that tells me that he's ever going to be anything other than great. And so for me, I personally think that Mac Jones, as good as he is, or as good as he could be. I mean, he is young. Maybe you make a trade him away, and you stick with Bailey Zappi. I truly think that Bailey Zappi will be a starter, and I mean, he looks good, making all the throws, making good decisions. I'm all about it. I very thoroughly have enjoyed him since he came in and almost beat the Packers as a 3rd stringer. I'm here for it.
I'm with you there. Next one here is, I'm sure, was your game of the week, the game that you probably had the most fun with, and that was the New York Jets taking down the Green Bay Packers 27-10.
I loved it. Yep. I watched some of it, right? I watched some of it, and I saw the block punt return for a tutty, which was great, but the one thing that stuck out to me when I was watching the parts that I did watch, Aaron Rodgers looks bad. He does not look good. He doesn't trust his receivers. He doesn't trust his offensive line. There's just nothing that like sticks out to me and is like, oh yeah, that's Packers football. Like that, it's just not there.
Yeah.
Like every year for the last 20 some years, even when Brett Favre was there, you're looking at and you're like, okay, yeah, we play the Packers. Fuck.
Right.
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 And in reality, like that's rough because they don't have that this year. And people in the media, like I was watching Game Day Morning, and then I watched Fox NFL Countdown, and they were all talking, oh, well, Devontae Adams isn't going to make that much of a difference. No, I'm sorry, but he does. Because he always gave that blanket. He always gave that fallback to Aaron Rodgers. Aaron was always able to just throw the ball up and be good. We're seeing more defenses now are playing single high safety against Green Bay's offense than ever before. And it's because Aaron isn't trusting in Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs and Randall Cobb and all those. He's not trusting in them to go deep and make a play. And so, I mean, I'm here for it. I enjoy it. I love nothing more than watching the Packers lose, and I love nothing more than watching Aaron Rodgers. Not necessarily. Okay, no, I lie. I love watching him fail.
I know.
I mean, I like Aaron Rodgers, the person, the player, jackass.
Yeah.
So for me, I very thoroughly enjoy watching the Packers, and it's funny because I've always been against, like, no matter how bad you're losing, no matter what the situation is, never put your backups in. You never admit defeat. I never want to surrender in a football game. Like, I never want the Vikings to take our starters out because we're down 3 scores at the start of the fourth quarter. And here we are watching the Packers game, and they take Aaron Rodgers out and put Jordan Love in. Like, you're waving your white flag and being like, oh, hey, we're done. We're not playing no more. And that, for me, that's embarrassing. Like, first off, it's the Jets. Second off, you should never put your team in, like, you should never put yourself in your team and your players in that situation. I never understood why coaches are like, oh, hey, we're going to pull you. We're going to put the second team in because you guys fucking suck. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
I will say Sauce Gardner is a fucking madman. And I fucking love it.
That was, honestly, that's the only thing I've seen from the game was the clip of him having
the cheese head on his head is awesome.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah. And somebody said that's like the true cheese sauce or some shit like that. I'm like, I was just cracking up every single time I see it.
Yeah, one of the first plays of the game, Aaron threw a ball and it bounced up off of a player's hands, and Sauce took it back for a pick six, and then they called it back, of course, because you're in Lambeau. But man, the guy just. I'm very impressed. I'm actually nervous about the Vikings playing the Jets.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, speaking of the Vikings, they played the Dolphins this week, and they came away with a 24-16 kind of grinded out game, is what it seemed like to me there. I know that at some point you sent a message in the group chat saying that the Vikings offense looked awful today. And that was also at the same time that the Colts were getting smacked by the Jaguars early on. So that was a very negative group chat for a bit. But
the offense just looked bad, man. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened between last week and this week.
Yeah.
Maybe they were sleeping on the Dolphins because it was a third stringer. I don't really know. But like. The offense, I mean, Kirk went, Kirk was 20 for 30 for 175 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He started 1 for 5. And it was just bad football. Offensively, couldn't get anything going. I think we went like 4 straight 3-and-outs. Yeah, our first 4 drives was 8 yards and a punt, 1 yard and a punt, 3 yards and a punt, 3 yards and a punt. So, like, at the first quarter, we had a total of 12 offensive yards.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah.
And then in the second quarter, we went 3 yards for a punt, And then we went 75 yards for a touchdown, 6 yards for a punt, 26 yards and a field goal. And then to start the third quarter, we went minus 12 yards in a punt, 5 yards in a punt, minus 7 yards in a punt, 73 yards in a touchdown, 9 yards in a punt, 59 yards in a touchdown. And that was a Dalvin Cook 59-yard touchdown run.
Mm-hmm.
And then a 7 yards in a punt, and then to end the game, minus 5 yards on kneel downs. It's just bad football. It doesn't make any sense as to why Kirk had such a hard time getting going. The offensive line gave him no time. Our receivers, he had to go somewhere else because we had the Dolphins put Xavier Howard on Justin Jefferson, obviously. But once, right. I mean, Adam Thielen started kind of going. Once Adam Thielen got going, KJ Osborne kind of got a couple receptions in there. Irv Smith had a fumble that JJ recovered that would have been crucial. Go figure, Irv Smith fumbled. If he's not dropping a wide open touchdown pass, he's fumbling. It just, I don't know. It seemed weird. The one encouraging thing I'll say about the Vikings in this one is the defense looked real good. Gave up a lot of yards. I'm not going to, I won't even sugarcoat it. Like the defense gave up a ton of yards. Mm-hmm. I think it was a total of, let me look.
I mean, Tyreek himself had 177, so.
Yeah, Waddle had 100 and something too. Yeah. So, I mean, but they gave up 418 passing yards.
Yeah.
73. We gave up 500 yards, essentially, of offense to Miami. 500 yards to Miami. The thing that killed them is penalties. Yeah. I mean, they had 10 penalties for 97 yards. 3 straight drives. They got into the red zone and took themselves out of field goal range and out of scoring possibilities with penalties.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, and it's not like, and it wasn't like bad calls or poor calls. They were legitimate penalties. It was people committing penalties and getting caught. And, that's the big thing is, the Dolphins fans on Twitter, oh, well, of course the Vikings are going to get all the calls. No, they were legitimate penalties. They were holding penalties. That was holding. They were pass interference. That was pass interference. It was just very sloppy football all around. Offensively, defensively, defense gave up a lot of yards. There's a bend don't break situation. We bent, didn't break. Defense played really well. Once Skylar Thompson went out, Teddy Bridgewater came in. I was like, oh shit, here we go. And then Teddy just kind of, Danielle Hunter got going. Zadarius Smith got going. That defensive line was causing a lot of pressure, not allowing Teddy to have time to throw the ball. We went into this soft shell defense late in the game. Kind of started playing not to lose instead of playing to win, which we've talked about before.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And just kind of gave up all those trash time yards to Waddle and to Hill and to Gesicki. Right. Also, the gritty by Gesicki is awful. Just absolutely disrespectful to even try and look like that. So all around, I was listening to NFL radio and they were like, well, it's either at this point. No, I was actually listening to Pat McAfee show and they were like, well, I think that you're either like on Overreaction Monday, you're either, oh, hey, my team's going to win it all or my team is absolute garbage. Right. And I'm not on either end of that. Like, I don't think that we're not playing championship football. We're not the worst team in the league because we're 5-1 and we're winning these close, tight-knit games. I just really, really, really want to see the Vikings take and put together a complete football game where the offense is playing well. Our punter had a 73-yard punt from the end zone.
I did see
it. It was massive.
Yeah.
For me, I want to see special teams, offense, defense. I want everyone to have a well-rounded game and just, I mean, we don't even necessarily have to blow people out. Like, I don't even care to win that way.
Yeah.
I just want to win by more than a single score.
Yeah.
That would be it would be nice to win by 10, win by 12, win by 14. I don't necessarily need to win by 20. I want to see our offense humming and looking good, no mistakes, looking great. Defense, I want to see the defense playing well, getting stops, not necessarily doing a shutout. Doesn't have to be a shutout. It just needs to be solid football. Eliminate your mistakes, no penalties, like just a well-rounded football game. If the Vikings offense would have shown up against the Bears, if that offense would have shown up this week against Miami, and the defense that we had this week shown up with Miami, it would have been the perfect game as a Viking fan, because that offense against Chicago was humming, was moving the ball, had everything that we wanted out of them. Right. And then the defense was making stops this week. They never crumbled. They had a couple turnovers or a couple takeaways. Like it just feels like it's either one week it's either the offense playing well and the defense not, or it's the defense playing well and the offense is not. Right. And as a Viking fan, I'm cool because we're 5-1.
Right.
We're first place in the division, 2 games ahead of everybody else. I'm cool with that. But show me that you belong there. Show me that when we get to the playoffs, we're not going to get beat in the first round.
Right.
That's what I need to see from this team.
Put it all together, essentially. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yep. 100%. Next one here we had was the Bengals taking on the Saints down in New Orleans. The Bengals come away with a 30-26 win. Defense obviously still isn't what the Bengals expect.
We have breaking news.
Okay, what we got?
The Baltimore Ravens are signing veteran wide receiver Deshaun Jackson.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Interesting.
It is interesting.
Wow. I don't know.
You want to gather your thoughts when we talk about the Ravens game? Okay.
Yeah. I need some time to process.
Fair enough. So like I was saying there though with this one, Matt probably hated this game because he's probably like, oh, the overrated Bengals started playing well. I don't think it was that. I think their defense is figuring things out. The offense seemed like they finally had a week where they clicked. I'm not saying that they're back. They had a week where they
bad.
Okay, they had a game where they finally kind of started putting stuff together a little bit. Okay?
They were awful. The entire game was bad. They
scored every quarter.
Okay. Yeah. And they were down to a Andy Dalton led Saints team.
Let's not act like Andy Dalton's a scrub, because we've said it before. But let's not act like he's a complete scrub.
Okay, Taysom Hill scored was the reason for most of their points. But like it doesn't make sense from like the point of view of the Bengals have Jamar Chase and all you hear about from this game is Jamar Chase had a 60-yard catch and run touchdown. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
But there was nothing else promising from that game. Nothing. One play defined that game for the Bengals. And that's not what we're used to from the version of the Bengals that was last year. Last year, there was never a game where it was a single play that defined a game for the Bengals. It was Jamar Chase went off, Joe Burrow went off. And for me personally, if you're Joe Burrow and you're going into a game in the Superdome and you're wearing Jamar Chase's game-worn college championship jersey, you should probably be going off. And it was just suspect to the fact that they were down by so much. And obviously the Saints are not good. I think the Saints are posers. I don't think the Saints are good. I don't think they're good. They're not making the playoffs. They're just not. And I'm not impressed with the way that the Bengals took care of business there, because it should have been better. The Bengals have more weapons. The Bengals have a better defense. The Bengals are the better team of the two. But they struggled to show that. And it just, I don't understand what happened year over year, last year to this year. Is it because they got an indoor bubble? and now they're practicing inside? Is all the grit gone and no longer a thing? Like, what is it that's causing the Bengals to be lackluster?
So, if you would allow me here, this is kind of what as far as an assessment is what I would go, is that obviously 2 years ago, Bengals not good, right? Last year, I think last year they caught a lot of people by surprise. So there was a lot more of those weeks where they're catching people by surprise. I don't think, I don't feel like teams fully knew how to game plan for them, and they went on that great run to the Super Bowl. I think personally, I think a lot of people in that locker room thought, okay, it's going to be a lot of the same this year, right? Same coach, same offense, all this. I think a lot more teams have figured out the Bengals. So it's a lot harder for them to win games. And I think the Bengals are struggling with that. And I feel like Zach Taylor is kind of struggling with trying to figure out new ways to win, because last year, that's all they relied on. 90% of their wins last year was Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, right? And Joe Mixon, from time to time. And that's all they had to rely on. They didn't really have to figure out new ways to score. You know what I'm saying? They didn't really have to change up a lot. And I think a lot of that is a little bit of that. I mean, of course, you can throw in Super Bowl hangover a little bit. I don't really put that on the Bengals as much as a Super Bowl hangover. I really just think teams have game plan for it way better this year. And it's one of these things where, of course, you're going to get the occasional Jamar Chase going off game, because it happens with every elite wide receiver. You can contain them for a couple weeks. I mean, we've seen it with JJ there for a couple weeks. He went off in week 1, and then they held him back for a couple weeks, and then it's when you define what a true superstar is when you can kind of start putting games together and not getting shut out week after week.
Right. I think.
Yeah, so I really just think it's a lot of that. I think it's a lot of just teams.
Do you think it's them. Well, but then it's up to Zach Taylor to scheme him open.
Right, but that's what I'm saying is I don't think Zach Taylor has figured that out. I think Zach Taylor is relying on what got him to where he got him last year.
Could be.
Mm-hmm. That
makes sense.
That'd be my assessment.
That makes sense.
So, yeah. But one way or the other, like we always say, a win is a win in the NFL. And,
unless you're the Bengals, you suck.
So next one here, we had a Ravens-Giants game here. That looked like the Giants are playing them tough, but the Ravens are going to come away with a win. And then here comes the Giants once again. There they come in a fourth quarter rally, and the Giants take the win 24-20 in a shock game, I think, for most people. So seeing what we've seen from the Ravens, they're 3-3 on the season, and now knowing what we know, how big of a difference do you think Deshaun Jackson is on that team going forward?
I think I'm concerned with Lamar's decision making because of that pick at the end of the game that allowed the Giants to go down and score.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, you can't make that throw. You just can't. And I like Lamar. I'm a Lamar fan.
Right.
But they're 3-3, and Lamar's in a year where he's trying to get paid,
right?
And the last few games he's not played like he wants to get paid. And so for me, I mean, again, I'm still high on the Ravens. I still think that they can turn it around. They can figure it out. There's not another team in the division that I think is better. It's not like they are down 2 games in the division, because they're not. We're going into week 7, not even to the halfway point.
Right.
And so for me, I think that, whenever their bye is, hopefully sooner rather than later, regrouping could be good for them.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that the defense has to get it figured out, because the defense allowed a game-winning drive, and that's just not how it goes. But hats off to the Giants. Man, I did not expect a Giants team to be 5-1.
Right.
I didn't expect them to get the wins that they've gotten with the Ravens, the Packers. Like, I didn't expect that.
Right.
So I mean, hey, if Saquon makes all the difference, and Saquon's the reason that you're winning, which he is.
Well, also we can admit too that last year their coach had zero clue what he was doing at the NFL level.
Oh, absolutely. Brian Daboll has, like I said last week, I think it was, Daboll has these guys believing in. They have
trust in what he is doing.
Yeah, and I like it. Like they're playing lights out football. It's good football. Mm-hmm. It's solid football.
Yep.
They came from behind to get a win. Like
Yep.
Against
right
the Ravens,
there in second in the NFC East.
Yeah, it's from one game back from Philly, which I don't think that they meet each other until December 4th. So it'll be 2 late season games for them.
Mm-hmm.
And
season defining games is what it's shaping up to be right now.
Should be great games.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be one of those games where James Bradbury was a cap cut from the Giants, went over to Philadelphia, playing lights out on the opposite side of Darius Slay. I think I still hate Philadelphia. Let's not get it out of there. Let's just put that out the way right now. I hope the Giants win the division. I do. I hope the Eagles lose to the Giants.
They're the most likable
twice.
team in that division. So.
Oh, absolutely, because the Giants are the Eagles suck. I hate the Eagles. But yeah, I mean, all around, I think Saquon is back. There's no more questions about it.
Nope.
Hopefully, he can stay healthy, and we'll see.
Yeah. So next one here, we head on into Pittsburgh, where the Steelers get a 20-18 win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I did not watch this game, nor did I expect this game. I don't know if you've seen any of it or what happened. How did this happen?
Tom Brady went to Robert Kraft's wedding over the weekend and missed walkthrough on Saturday morning, and they just looked off. It just looked bad. It was just bad football from Tampa, man. Tom looked bad. Leonard Fournette had a score, but outside of that, there really wasn't a whole lot going.
Yeah.
And I do think that, they probably slept on the Steelers a little bit because they are so banged up.
Yeah.
Because they're so hurt. Their whole defense is hurt. Minka Fitzpatrick's hurt. Everybody's hurt on that defense. So, I do think that they probably took it a little lightly, and it's a trap game. It's exactly what it is. Everyone's overreacting, and Tampa and Tom Brady, and dude, shut up. Yeah. They'll be fine. No. They'll figure it out.
The only thing I would say is concerning is allowing Chase Claypool to have his best game since his rookie year. This was the first time I've remembered that Chase Claypool played football in the NFL since his rookie year. And not to say anything more about that next week, but what I'm saying is that when you see the Steelers beat the Buccaneers and Chase Claypool led the team in the game in receptions, it was a weird week. Nothing makes sense. The NFL is weird.
The whole week was weird.
Yeah. I mean, and moving on to the next one here, we had the Rams getting the 24-10 win over the Panthers. And honestly,
boring.
I don't think there's much to say there too. The Rams still don't look good. This was almost a game where it was almost impossible for them to lose.
I will say though, Allen Robinson finally kind of came to life a little bit here in this game.
You remember how to play football for a bit?
Yeah, it was interesting.
5 for 63 in the tud.
Yeah. It was. Yeah, it kind of came to life. I think Matt Stafford finally found him. Sean McVay is scheming him in to the offense.
It looked like once he didn't actually just look Cooper Kupp's way too. Because guys actually had receptions. So
they have to understand that Cooper Kupp, as great as he is, he can't do it by himself. If he's being doubled, you got to go elsewhere. And I mean, the Rams did not look good. Stafford threw another pick 6, I believe.
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah. The only thing from this game is, PJ Walker
Robbie Anderson
did not look like anything like he used to be.
Robbie Anderson got traded from Carolina to Arizona yesterday after the fallout on the sideline with his position coach.
Yeah.
It just, I almost wonder if Carolina's going to go through with a fire sale, just get rid of a bunch of people.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, they did play Colts legend today, or on that game, Jacob Easton. So, shout out to my man. He was. It says 3 for 5, but he was 4 for 5 because a pick counts as a completion. Shout out Jacob Easton, my guy.
Oof. All right,
moving on to the next one here. We had the Seahawks beating the Cardinals 19-9. What happened?
I believe I called this one.
I wouldn't be surprised. The Cardinals cannot wait any longer to get D-Hop back at this point. And even then, I don't know if that's even enough to save this season for them.
They look bad, man.
Yeah. But honestly,
I mean, they did just go get Robbie Anderson. So I mean, we'll see. But I don't think the offense is the problem. I don't think
the receiving core was the issue. That's the thing, right? I mean, they have Rondale Moore. I mean, they have Hollywood Brown. They're getting D Hop back now. I mean, honestly, I think their wide receiver room might be a little crowded now. Honestly,
I honestly, I
think it comes down to the quarterback can't get it to the receivers. Unless they're D-Hop because he has a 75-inch vertical and you can just throw it to the moon.
I think Kyler hates Cliff Kingsbury.
I think Kyler wishes he played baseball.
Probably.
Because here's the thing, right? It makes sense, right? Because if you played baseball, right, your season doesn't revolve right around the release of COD every year. All you have to do is just not make the playoffs and you're good.
Bingo.
He could just go play for the Cubs or the White Sox and he'd be set.
No. The Cubs can have him. No.
Oh, man. Yeah, I don't think there's much to say there except Gino's the GOAT, obviously.
Gino is playing really well.
He is playing really well, and Kenneth Walker had a really good week as well. I was really impressed with him.
I picked him up on fantasy in a couple leagues and played him.
Yeah.
I was very thankful for that.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, one could hope that the Cardinals start figuring out, but not much to say from there. Then we go to the game of the week here with the Buffalo Bills visiting the Kansas City Chiefs in a rematch of, I think, the last, couple of years they've played each other in the playoffs.
Yeah.
In a game that the NFL is like, we have to put this on our schedule so that we can all jerk off in our chairs as this game's on. And we have to make sure Tony Romo's calling the game too, guys. All right, we're set. Let's go. But the Bills get the win 24-20.
I love when Tony Romo calls games, though.
He's
so good. He predicted the score. He predicted, it was unbelievable. The guy is so good at commentating.
It doesn't make sense.
He's so good.
Yeah.
This game,
it was
had
fun.
Mahomes through 2 picks.
Yeah, it was a fun game. I enjoyed it.
I mean, the first half was pretty boring. Offensive struggles, but it wasn't the shootout that everyone expected it to be.
And I wasn't surprised by it not being a shootout.
Neither was I. No. But man, Buffalo looks so good. Buffalo looks so good.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at who has Kansas City played this year? Who's?
I know they played the Chargers.
All right, so they played the Raiders, the Bucks, the Colts, the Chargers, and the Cardinals. So what's that? 1, 2, 3. 3 teams. 3 teams with winning records. And they lost. Yep. They lost to the Colts and they lost this week to the Bills.
Right.
So I don't think the Chiefs are as good as everyone's making them out to be. Everyone's, as long as Pat Mahomes is the quarterback, they have a chance. No. They're not that good. They're not. The way that they were winning is not sustainable. You cannot throw it to Travis Kelce for 6 touchdowns in the same game every single game. It's not going to work.
Right.
It doesn't work.
You figure that out when you play a defense like the Bills.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm impressed with the Bills. Josh Allen looked good. I don't want to see Buffalo win a Super Bowl, for as long as Stephon Diggs is there. That's just kind of how it works. Like, we traded him to Buffalo. Yeah, we got JJ out the trade, and I'm thankful for that. Thank you, Philadelphia. Dumbasses.
I mean, you ended up getting both guys from that. So
yeah, we got both guys. We got both guys there. But like, I just, I can't. The only thing that would make Buffalo better is a run game. If they had a run game,
this is why CMC's on his way.
be. Yeah, essentially, man, they will be lethal. Von Miller doesn't look like he's slowed down.
Nope.
So
the man who almost retired, he's out here. He's like, yeah, I knew I could play. It's crazy.
I mean, I think I think at the beginning of the year when we did our way too early predictions, and we'll do halfway through the season predictions too. I think I picked the Bills and the Rams to be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I.
Yeah,
I mean, I know I picked the Bills as well. I think I just picked somebody else on the other end of it, but I don't remember who.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
But hey, I know one way though that you'll cheer for the Bills in the Super Bowl if that happens is if they play Philadelphia.
And if they play the Packers, Philadelphia, they play.
I guess there's quite a few teams, but
I mean, really, realistically, if they play anybody who beats the Vikings in the playoffs. If they play anybody from my division, which not likely because they all suck.
Lions to the Super Bowl?
No, fuck that. I'm pretty much a Bills fan on the AFC side. Yeah. I think.
Yep. Moving on here, though, we had the NFC least game of the week again. Of course, it was primetime football because. Why else would it be? Jerry Jones pays off them, for the schedule. We get it. It's just so we can make sure that his team cannot win the big time on prime time. And they don't do it again. They lose 26-17 to the Eagles, who are now 6-0 on the season.
Cooper Rush looked human for the first time.
Yeah, 18 of 38, 181 yards and a touchdown.
How many picks?
Well, let's see here. Let me get the full box score up here. He threw 3 of them suckers. So
yeah. He looked human. He made mistakes. Philadelphia's defense played really fast. There was a lot of good things from Philadelphia. They were able to neutralize Micah Parsons, which I thought would be the deciding factor in the game. Was if Philadelphia could stabilize Micah Parsons, which they did with the run pass, the RPO, the run pass option, being able to read him instead of block him. I think that caused him to struggle pretty badly to make a impact on the game. Trayvon Diggs, 1 year wonder. Very, very quiet. Hasn't had any picks this year, I don't believe. Just kind of a very quiet situation.
I've seen something about it. He was on the sidelines bitching like his brother does when things don't go his way, to be fair. Because A.J. Brown was torching him.
Oh, of course. But, and the crazy thing is, Philadelphia has all the weapons, right? They got A.J. Brown. You got Devontae Smith, who's starting to come into his own. Dallas Goedert's always good. Miles Sanders is good. Boston Scott, the backup running back, can carry the load when, Miles Sanders needs a breather. They keep their players fresh. They keep their defensive line fresh. They're so well coached right now. Again, I don't think that they've played anybody that's like, oh my God, they're so good and they beat them. No, I haven't seen that game yet, but there's not a game on that schedule. There's not a game on their schedule that's going to be like, oh, they're playing a winning football team. Because if I'm not wrong, they don't play.
They got the Steelers coming up next. Then they have the Texans. Then they have the Commanders. Then they have the Colts, which maybe. Then they play the Packers.
Hell no.
On Sunday Night Football. Then they play the Titans. Then they play the Giants.
That one. The Titans and the Giants. Those two games are the first possible losses for Philadelphia, unless they sleep on a team, which is possible, not likely, but it's possible. Jalen Hurts is playing lights out, and it sucks because I'm talking them up.
Their season really doesn't I'm looking at their schedule, and I really don't see a lot of losable games in there.
Yeah, there's not.
No, because even after the Titans and the Giants, they get the Bears. They go to the Cowboys. They
Yep.
play at home against the Saints, and they play home against the
The
Giants.
The Cowboys game will be interesting.
Just because it's in Dallas.
Dak will be there.
Right.
It'll be in Dallas. Dak will be there.
And it's Christmas Eve.
That game could be good. That game could be a difference in the schedule. Like, they have a possibility to go unbeaten.
Yeah.
It's very likely. Right. The schedule is not hard.
No.
I do believe they have the easiest schedule remaining.
Wouldn't be surprised.
But,
I mean,
Jalen Hurts is just playing lights out, and that's what it comes down to is, that defense is playing lights out.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Hurts is playing lights out. If that continues to be the case, then we all screwed.
Right. I mean, obviously, the next couple of weeks will be a little more telling. The Colts game's at least in Indianapolis, so I don't like to say I would completely rule out the Colts in that game, but obviously that's a lot to come down with health, which is a lot of the Colts season as well so far.
Right.
But I
do think if the Colts would have a chance to beat them if the Colts go back to running the football, because in the second half, Tony Pollard and Zeke both were running the rock.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were moving the ball. They were just kind of charging downfield.
Right.
If I'm not wrong, most of, if not all of Dallas's points came in the second half. They held Philly to very minimal points.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think, Philly's beatable.
Yeah, for sure.
They're very beatable.
Yeah.
I think it kind of sucks that the Vikings played them so early in the year, because I think if the Vikings played them a little later in the year, it would have been we would have had I think it would have been different if it was a little bit later in the year. But we have play with the cards you dealt. So it is what it is. Hopefully we don't have to go to Philly to play them in the playoffs.
Right.
But it looks like Philadelphia is well on their way to securing a number one seed in the NFC, and that fucking sucks because their fans are annoying.
Fair enough. Then we go to Monday Night Football, where the Chargers get an overtime win, 19-16. Please don't make us watch any more primetime Broncos games. Please.
I will say this is the best one that they've had. I watched the first half. I did watch the first half.
Yeah.
Russ looks good. Russ looked more comfortable.
He looks great in that first quarter. I watched most of the fourth quarter, and he didn't look as good in the fourth quarter as what they were showing in the first half. So I don't know what changed for him there, but
it seemed like they maybe simplified the offense a little more. Made him a little more comfortable, got him moving, rolling out on play action. The concerning thing is they only had Melvin Gordon run the ball 3 times for 8 yards.
Yeah.
That's concerning. I don't understand that. They're probably going to shop him. He'll probably get traded. But, I mean, overall, please don't make me watch another Russell Wilson game.
I looked. They have one more primetime game, but that game will be done by halftime. They played the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. So
yeah, that game's over. That game's over before it starts.
that one's not gonna be good for them. But so that was week 6 in the NFL. Overall, though, a pretty enjoyable week. I think a lot of teams are kind of starting to come into their own. You see kind of what teams. I think there's really only one team that actually I can confidently say have given up on their season, which would be that team down in Carolina. But
yeah.
Other than that, though, I think a lot of other teams are still trying to figure stuff out. Some of the teams that got off to a hot start are kind of coming back down to earth. Overall, it was a pretty good, interesting week. I think we look forward to the next week of football here, see what's going on. We start with that lovely Thursday night football game that everybody loves so much. We all really enjoyed after the last 2 weeks of Thursday night football. This week we get the New Orleans Saints at 2-4 going to the Arizona Cardinals, who is also 2-4. This is D Hop's return week, correct? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's been activated.
So, who we got?
I'm taking Arizona.
I'm also taking Arizona. I think D Hop just being back alone and being at home, I think should be enough motivation alone to have a good week. I think if Arizona doesn't win this week, it's very concerning for their season. I don't care if I don't care if people come out of that saying, "Oh, it's D Hop's first week back." I think it's very concerning if they don't win. So this time,
my fucking camera is throwing a fit right
it
now.
really is.
Man.
It really doesn't
What
like
the
you.
fuck?
We go into Sunday's game here. We get a divisional matchup. We get the 2-4 Cleveland Browns traveling to the Baltimore Ravens at 3-3. I think this is one of those statement games for Baltimore to kind of grab the division by the balls again. Kind of keep Cleveland back a little bit as they're waiting for Deshaun Watson to get back. I don't think Cleveland should be too much of a concern for them later in the year, but this is one of one of these games where I think Baltimore just needs to get the win.
Yeah, I think they do.
No.
I think Baltimore wins this one. Jacoby Brissett sucks. He's awful.
Fair enough. Next one here, we get Austin's Atlanta Falcons at 3-3, traveling to Cincinnati, who is also 3-3. And the Falcons looked good last week. Cincinnati has kind of struggled on defense, and Atlanta does a good job of getting the run game. And if they get that established, they eat a lot of clock away from their opponents. And it could be a tricky game for Cincinnati to win, especially if their offense is so much reliant on the pass again, and a lot of three and out start happening.
I'm taking Cincinnati.
I'm also taking Cincinnati, but I wanted to lay down the groundwork. Now we get Detroit at 1-4, going to the Dallas Cowboys at 4-2, which should be Dak's return week, is what things are pointing towards. He's like, hey, this week, guys, we play Detroit. I'll come back this week so I can look better than Cooper Rush, and that's why Detroit wins this game.
Interesting.
That's what I'm going with. I'm sticking to my guns. I mean, Detroit just had the bye week. They're getting healthy. I saw that DeAndre Swift is healthy now. St. Brown should be back. Yeah.
Wow.
You're like, shit,
I'm going I'm going Dallas.
Fair enough. I almost got you on that train though.
I was like, ooh.
you were looking at the station
back.
tickets. You were trying to decide. I
was like, Amon-Ra's bad.
Yeah.
DeAndre Swift's bad.
Yeah.
That's very attractive.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think
the
that
defense is so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dak is going to throw for 400 yards.
Should.
Next one here, we get the 3-3 Cheeseheads heading into the 2-4 Commies. Who we got here?
Well, if Carson Wentz was playing, I'd pick the Commanders, but I'm picking the Packers. Taylor Heineke.
I don't know.
Nah,
right. I think this game is actually pretty hard to predict with everything that's been going down.
I'm taking Green Bay.
I mean, it's in Washington.
Green Bay just coming off 2 losses back-to-back to New York teams.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is going to be pissed off.
Yeah, which is why he's going to play worse. I'm taking Washington.
Nah. Ooh, I like that though. I do like every time I want to take Washington. I
get it. It's okay. It's all right. Next one here, we get the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 3-3, going to the Carolina Panthers at 1-5, and another week for Carolina to tell everybody we don't care. We want the number 1 pick. Tampa Bay getting the win.
Yep.
Don't think there's much to say on that one, honestly.
Nope.
This one's a little more intriguing here. We get the 5-1 New York Giants going down to Jacksonville, who is 2-4 on the season. I think this one's a little bit tougher than when you just look at it on paper.
I'm picking the Giants.
Get the Giants. I'm also going to pick the Giants, but I do think this one will be a little bit closer though than a blowout. So
Saquon will run all over him.
I mean, apparently Jacksonville can run on teams too. So maybe we just
not teams who have run defenses, David.
And we have Indianapolis at 3-2-1, traveling down to Tennessee, who is 3-2 on the season. They're coming off a bye week. And man, what
Tennessee?
I would
Derrick Henry.
I would This to me is like I said earlier, it's a prove it week for the Colts. I picked against them last week, and it worked. It's all part of my plan. Tennessee is who I'm going to pick.
You know what's going to happen is Tennessee's going to win this game. Tennessee's going to win this game, and then Titan fans are going to storm the field, rip the fucking goalposts out the ground, and they're going to march it over to the Tennessee River and toss them bitches right on in. Along with the University of Tennessee's when they beat Alabama this past weekend. It's beautiful.
Beautiful. That was beautiful, to be fair. And honestly, Tennessee is probably still buzzing about that game and going to carry in that energy into the game against the Colts. Because let's be real here, Titans fans love to beat the Colts. So, next one here, though, we have the Houston Texans at 1-3-1. Traveling to the Las Vegas Raiders at 1-4. For the love of God, Las Vegas, figure your crap out. This is the last week I'm picking you if you lose. Just please. Please play winning football.
I don't know who I picked on this one. Hang on. Yeah, I picked Vegas.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, next one here. We get the 4-2 New York Jets going to Russell Wilson and the 2-4 Broncos. Oh my God, this is a game this week. Wow.
I'm picking the Jets.
I'm gonna go Denver. They've had back-to-back overtime losses in overtime, and honestly, their defense plays really well, which is why I'm going to go with Denver. I think Denver wins it 6-3. So,
nah,
a lot of points being scored. Don't watch that game, please don't.
I'll make sure I put a bet in for no touchdown score.
Exactly. Basically, drop your whole paycheck on that one. So,
yeah, you better. Mm-hmm. I better see it.
Yeah. Nope. Kansas City at 4-2, traveling to the San Francisco 49ers at 3-3. San Fran coming off a bad loss, to put it lightly. And now Kansas City comes into town. Yeah, I also think this is one of those games that Kansas City doesn't lose.
Nope.
Unfortunately. No, but I won't be mad if I pick is wrong. So.
Me neither.
Then we get Seattle at 3-3, traveling to the Los Angeles Chargers at 4-2. In a week that I assume at this point they get Keenan Allen back, probably.
I'm taking the Chargers.
Mine's decided on if Keenan Allen plays. Remember how earlier we were talking about the Packers offense and how without Devontae Adams it just doesn't really work? I feel like that's kind of the Chargers. And they need Keenan Allen.
I think once they all figured out Mike Williams is a legitimate threat, and they took him out of the game, obviously.
Yeah, you have nobody else to take that attention away, and yeah.
I think Gerald Everett has a bigger game this coming week than he did last night.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I could see that happening, especially if Keenan plays. My pick is solely off of Keenan Allen playing, but I am going to go with the Chargers. Then we get to... Man, does the NFL know how to pick these primetime games. We get the 2-4 Pittsburgh Steelers traveling to the 3-3 Miami Dolphins. They picked these before the season. Yeah, they picked these games before the season. And guys, you got to start using your flex like a lot more. You know, like last week you had the Bills and Chiefs playing. They weren't primetime.
At 4:30.
Three primetime slots. And you still chose to have Denver on a primetime game.
Chicago and
Washington on a primetime game. Yeah. The other one I can justify. I mean, fuck the NFC East, but I can at least justify it.
Yeah.
But with all that being said, this is Miami's to win.
Yeah. Tua's back this week. Mm-hmm. That offense goes back to what they were.
I mean, even just knowing that Teddy is healthy as well, I still would have picked him even with that.
It's crazy to see how much Tua means to the offense, because he is that important. He does that much for this offense, and he makes them so good. So I mean, I think Miami wins this one. This one's a Tua's return kind of game.
Yep. And then we also see the NFL again, guys, killing it at these primetime games. Please continue with whatever process you have going on. On Monday Night Football, we get we get the mean green Chicago Bears going to New England in a game that, why? Just why?
Bailey fucking Zappy, baby.
Zap zap, baby.
Zap zap.
Zap zap. It's that simple. The Bears stand no chance. The defense,
hell no.
The defense alone for New England could stop Chicago and win the game without the offense coming out on the field.
Who was it that has the most takeaways in the league on defense? Can't remember.
It's
but they showed us. I'm pretty sure whoever has the most takeaways probably has more yards, defensive yards than like
the Bears.
The whole Bears offense. The Bears are awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
But yep.
Yeah. I mean that's the breakdowns of that week there. If you want my advice, there's no Monday Night Football game this week. Honestly, there's really not even a Sunday Night Football game this week that's worth watching. But enjoy your Sunday games at 1 and 4:30. Probably skips Thursday Night Football too.
So. Watch college football.
Yep. And then if you if you can't watch it all, record it so that you can then play it when Sunday night or Monday Night Football begins. So you can still watch football at those times, but you can watch better games.
College football starts tomorrow.
Watch BYU play Wyoming.
Georgia State.
I don't.
No, Georgia State at App State tomorrow night, and then Thursday Virginia at Georgia Tech. Friday, not worth talking about. Saturday, you have Syracuse and Clemson playing at noon.
Mm-hmm.
Game should be fucking great. You got Texas at Oklahoma State at 3:30, UCLA at Oregon at 3:30, Ole Miss at LSU at 3:30. Yep. All three of those games should be good. You're going to be at the Notre Dame game, you poor bastard.
It was free.
You know, Kansas State at TCU at 8:00. Mississippi State plays Alabama at 7. The whole college football slate's going to be fucking great on Saturday. Yep. So, if you don't feel like watching Thursday Night Football, it's okay. College football is right here.
Yep. You're not wrong. Well, like we say every week.
Also, there's hockey and I guess NBA.
There is NBA as well. The Bulls season opener is Saturday.
Yeah,
October 22nd at 8:00 Eastern.
Yeah, you're not going to get to watch it, though, because you're not even gaming on Saturday, so I don't want to hear about it.
So I will get to watch it, is what you're saying.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope, you're going to be, you said, I'm not going to play any games Saturday because I'm going to be at the Notre Dame game.
Well, yeah, but the game gets over, and then by the time I get home is when that game will start, and that's what I'm going to do.
So you're going to throw it up on the second monitor, and you're going to play Overwatch 2. Okay, got you. See you Saturday.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to this week's edition of DM Sports Talk. We appreciate all of you. Follow on Twitter, follow on TikTok, and we will catch you next
And hopefully watch us on